Vanessa Walters with her own take on what's happening in certain parts of the country. Well, joining us now from our Central London studio is Wizdom, who performs with GreenJade and co-founder of Guns Down. That's a schools project, and as its name suggests, the idea is to get young men in particular to put down their weapons. Thanks very much indeed for coming along and talking to us today.
No problem.
I hope you got to listen to what Vanessa had to say there. What's your sense of what's happening to the present generation of young black men? How are they being failed? How are they failing themselves? Is there a problem in particular, perhaps with a lack of role models?
I definitely do think there is a problem with the lack of role models. Also, or more importantly, there are a lot of role models that don't come from here. We've got a lot of the urban influences are a lot from the States, and Black America and Black Britain are two very, very different places. They have a very different experience to us, and I think it's been a problem that record companies haven't really supported a lot of UK positive artists, and we haven't been able to get a balance between a lot of the negative stuff that comes out of the States and out of the UK, it has to be said as well, and balance that against positive stuff. I don't think that you can just say, no, we can't, we'll stop or we'll ban negative urban music, but I think you have to provide a balance, and that's what we need, and that's kind of what we're about trying to do.
Regardless of colour, previous generations will often look at the current generation and say, well, that wouldn't have happened in my time. But there was a particularly mournful quality listening to those two elderly gentlemen there, the kind of the Windrush generation, let's call them, people who came from the Caribbean, 50s and 60s. There were plenty of jobs at the time, not necessarily good jobs, but jobs nonetheless. They believed in things like chapel, they were church-going, they had a strong sense of morality. You can forgive them, can't you, for looking at the modern generation, 17 shootings in London, I think, this year alone, and thinking, what on earth has happened?
Yeah. No, fair enough. I think, really and truthfully, we've now got all of the freedom in the world, but then we took away all of the disciplines. And I think, really and truthfully, freedom without discipline is chaos, and that's kind of what we've got. You know, parents aren't able to really discipline or look after their kids in the way that maybe we were before. There's been family breakdown. There's now an awful lot of distrust within communities about people from different places, and we've lost a lot of that sense of unity. We've lost a lot of those kind of role models, and it's a shame, but it's something that we've got to do something about. And as I say, there isn't, you know, I think from the community we want to. I think there are artists out there like Black Twang, like Sway, like ourselves, GreenJade, like others who want to do something about it, but we're just not given the airtime. We're not seen in the same sort of levels.
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be airtime given tonight. MOBO, the Music of Black Origin Award organisation, publishing a list of the top 10 hip-hop role models, Miss Dynamite, Sway, Estelle, people like that. I'm not familiar with them, but I'm sure you are. But, you know, you mentioned in your last answer, parents, role models. Let's talk role models. There's no bigger role model, arguably, for a young man pushing boundaries all the time, which is what young men do when they stop being children and become young men, than a dad.
True.
And yet we also know, don't we, the statistics are terrifying. Something like 70% of young black men are growing up in homes where there is no dad.
Yeah. And as a father myself, that hurts me. And I've got a 12-year-old and a 7-month-year-old.
But what do we do about that? You know, you can't drag these guys to the altar now, can you?
No, but I do think one of the other things that they mentioned within that was they were talking about morals, and they were talking about marriage, and they were talking about those sort of things. And I do think these need to be supported. In one of your earlier articles, you were talking about bins being thrown out and the fact that families with larger families would have to pay more. All of that is making being a family in the UK very, very, very difficult. I mean, there are other factors as well, but the fact of the matter is we do need more men to stand up, and that means we need more men who are fathers like myself, like other people, to be able to kind of show what that is, because it's different in this time. It's not easy. I don't know if it was easy before, but it is more difficult. But you don't see many people like us generally. A lot of the black imagery that are out are either Gus from EastEnders or Crime Watch, and that is not men in the black community. We would like to see more. I would like to see more representation of who we are now, what it means to be black and British, and we don't necessarily get to see that on a regular basis. But I think that there are people here who do want to stand up and say, you know what, the way things have been going on before, the single parent homes is not how we want it. We want to be fathers, we want to be there with our kids, but there has to be a change within the way things are going.
And how much of a role within that, in terms of making that change, how much of a role does the media have to play? I mean, going back to the statistic we were talking about a while ago, not about dads, but about the number of young black men killed in London, 17 in the last year. I mean, I think we both know, don't we, let's be clear about this, if they were 17 white kids, the governmental